Hey guys, today we are talking about slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. So right now you can see that I have a bunch of stuff written on my page. If you want to freeze it real quick and jot that all down so that you're ready to go when I'm talking about it, you can. Otherwise, you can just be writing while I'm talking. So let's start with parallel lines. So it says lines in the same plane that don't intersect are parallel lines. So what that means is these two lines right here, they're never going to touch. Okay? They're parallel lines. Now it says non-vertical parallel lines have the same slope, and vertical lines are parallel. Well, let's talk about that. Vertical lines mean what? Straight up and down, right? So those two lines would never touch. What it's saying is that they're non-vertical parallel lines, like they're turned, they're not vertical, they're going to have the same slope. Okay? Now, once you guys are ready, like I said, pause if you need to, write it all down. We're going to talk about how to identify parallel lines. So let's talk about how to identify them. Right now you can see I have a blue, a red, and a green line. So you can see that I'm going to be doing something with all of these lines. Right now, take a second, freeze it, pause it, whatever you need to do, and I need you guys to actually plot these lines right here. So everybody do that really quick. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the two different coordinates that you have, and you guys are going to plug them into the slope formula to find all the different slopes. So right now, I want you guys to go in and I want you to list what all the coordinates are. So everybody do that right now. Okay, so hopefully you guys got all these coordinates. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this first blue line, and we're going to put all of these into the slope formula so we can figure out what the slope actually is. So I'm going to actually start with this one right here. So we're going to take -2 minus 2 over -4 minus -3. Now, you guys should know what happens with this double negative. So that's going to be negative times a negative. That is a positive. So then I have -2 minus 2. Well, guys, that's like saying -2 plus -2. So that's going to give you -4. And then you have -4 plus 3. That's going to give you -1. And you guys should know that you have a negative divided by a negative. That's going to give you a positive. So your slope is 4 for the blue line. Now, what I want you guys to try to do is I want you to try to do the red and the green line. So right now, pause the video, and I want you guys to find the slopes for the red line and the green line. So hopefully you guys got the same answers as me. So the red line, the slope is 5. The green line, the slope is 4. Okay? So if you guys look at my formula, even if you have these switched, you should still get the same answer for your slope. So now let's talk about this. Blue line slope is 4. Red line slope is 5. Green line slope is 4. So what that's telling you is that the blue line and the green line have the same slope. And if they have the same slope, that means they're parallel and they're never going to touch. So you should know that the blue line and the green line are going to be your parallel lines. Okay? So that's how you guys can figure out if they are parallel. They're going to have the same slope. Now, I want you guys to practice a little bit. So it's asking, are the given lines parallel? So let's look at the first one. Y equals -5, y equals 3. So I want you guys to try to visualize that right now. What does that look like if y equals -5 and y also equals 3? Well, one thing you could do if you weren't sure, you could always graph it. Well, think about it. I don't have any numbers here, but I can imagine that y equals 3 is somewhere up here, saying every single y equals 3, and then y equals -5 means it's down there, and every single y is -5. So you guys should know that if you have two lines like this and both lines are flat, that if it is a horizontal line, the slope is 0. And if both lines have the same slope, that means they're parallel. So yes, one is parallel. Okay, so we practiced, we did that one together. Right now I want you guys to pause the video, try number 2, see if you can figure it out. So what do you think about number 2? Yes or no? Let's find out. So y equals 3 and x equals 1. So if you're not really sure what to do, you don't know how to figure it out, we can always just graph it. So y equals 3. Again, guys, I don't have numbers. I'm just estimating. That means every single y is at 3. Okay? So I graph that one. Then it says x equals 1. Well, I know positives are over here. So that means every single x is 1. Well, look at those lines. Right now, you should be able to tell me, no, those lines are not parallel because they intersect. And guys, intersect means where do the two lines hit? And actually, you can see that the lines hit at 1, 3. Because the x's are all at 1 and the y's are all at 3. So that's how you know that that is not parallel. Now, let's talk about perpendicular lines. So you guys can see again, I have some notes up here for you. If you want to pause it, write them down, and then restart it, go ahead. So perpendicular lines are in the same plane and that they intersect at right angles. Okay, so that means there's a 90-degree angle right there at that intersection point. So their two non-vertical lines are perpendicular when the product of their slope is -1. So right there, a keyword for you could be product. If you want to highlight it, underline it, make sure you guys remember that product means multiply. So it says when the product of their slopes is -1. Okay? And then it says vertical lines are perpendicular to horizontal lines. So if you guys remember, it's saying vertical lines are perpendicular to horizontal lines. Okay? So if you guys need a second, freeze it, catch up, and then we will move on. Now, we're going to talk about how to identify perpendicular lines. So again, you can see we have the same slope formula. We have the same way to find it. This time, we're just going to decide if they're perpendicular. So right now, same thing as last time. We got the blue line, the red line, the green line. You need to graph them all and then give me the coordinates. Okay? So right now, pause the video, go ahead and do that, and then restart it. So, check to see that you got all the right coordinates listed. Make sure you guys did not forget your negative signs because those make a really big difference. So let's start with the blue line. So we need to figure out what the slope is. So I'm going to start with this one. So 4 minus 6 over 1 minus -5. Again, guys, we should know negative times a negative, positive. Well, 4 minus 6, -2, 1 plus 5 is 6. Right now, though, you guys should know how to simplify this fraction. We know we can divide both of those by 2, so our answer is actually -1/3. Okay, so that is our slope. So guys, all I did, I picked my points. I decided to start with whatever one. It doesn't matter. I started with the second one. If you started with the first one, you just had to make sure you did it both times. So right now, I want you guys to try to find the slopes for the red and the green line. So you guys should have all found your slopes. Make sure yours are the same as mine. So I want you guys to look at this. You have -1/3, you have -2/7, and you have 7/2. I can see right here that it looks like the red and the green intersect. So if you multiply them together, and our answer is -1, that means they're perpendicular. So let's try it. -2/7 times 7/2. -2 times 7, -14. 7 times 2, 14. 14 divided by 14 is 1, and a negative divided by positive is a negative. So because that equals -1, these two are perpendicular. Okay? Now, I want you to try these last two problems. So these are very similar to the ones we did before. We just have checking that they're perpendicular instead of parallel. So let's look at the first one. Say we want to graph it. So if I draw this graph, again, guys, I can just estimate. I know I don't have 8 spaces on here, but I know that y equals 8 is somewhere up here in the positives. Every single y is 8, so it's a horizontal line. And then it says x equals -2. Well, I know it's over here because every single x equals -2. Well, we know because our rules told us that if we have two lines, a vertical and a horizontal, that means they are perpendicular because vertical lines are perpendicular to horizontal lines. Now, I want you guys to try number 2. So pause it now, try it, see if you guys can figure it out. So, what do you think about number 2? You think you got it right? Let's check it. So if it says x equals -8, that means that every single x is -8. So that's going to be over here in the negatives. Then our other one says x equals 7. So that means every single x is over here in the positives on 7. What kind of lines are those? Definitely not perpendicular. Those two are parallel because both of them have an undefined slope, meaning they're just going up and down forever. Okay? So hopefully now that makes a little more sense and you understand more about perpendicular lines and parallel lines. Make sure you guys go back up and you refer to these because these are really going to help you out.